Hey friends and family, we're going to grill a 5-pound pork shoulder the low and slow way on my kettle. Normally I would do this in the crock pot, in the slow cooker, but I thought it might taste a lot better if we smoked this meat over some charcoal with some mesquite wood chips. We started this journey at 11 minutes after 11 on a Sunday, and I know you guys have asked me about this process, so I thought I would just show you via video here. But there's a couple of steps I want to first take. This is the ingredients for my dry rub. You can see that there's some secret ingredients. I made a big batch of it in the hopes of putting it on the spare ribs for a little later on. But before we do all that, we're actually going to try to keep this this big piece of meat really moist throughout the process. So we need to inject it. I've got my iPhone out here because I want to just monitor and time the whole procedure here, so that maybe I can cut some time the next time around. At any rate, we're going to go ahead and inject this this bad boy with a mixture of Worcestershire sauce and apple cider at various areas. Then we're going to apply really liberally here the dry rub that I have. The dry rub is in 2 different containers with 2 different sets of ingredients. That way you can't reverse engineer it if you happen to steal my dry rub container. So at any rate, you don't have to put it on any of the fat areas because that's just going to render through. One of the best ways to maintain taste is to never use lighter fluid. So I use the paraffin cubes made by Weber, and I use a chimney to help me start the coals. This is kind of the best way to conservatively maintain the same kind of heat level. I'm only going to use about 40 coals during part 1 here, and I'm going to use it on just one segment of my grill. One segment's going to have direct heat right over the coals. The other segment I'm going to have a catch pan. I'm going to put a little water in there because I want to create some steam. So that's the indirect heat side. We want to try to maintain a temperature level of about 200 degrees throughout. So we're going to get this thing started. As you can see, it's starting to smoke up because that's going to give us a nice flavor. My flavor profile typically is sweet and hot. So when I apply that big piece of meat onto the grill, I put it fat side up. I'm not on any kind of a diet or anything, so that fat's just going to render right through. It's not going to matter. I purchased this gadget called the pitmasterIQ, and it serves 2 purposes. Number 1, it serves as a babysitter, so that I don't have to babysit the coals every single 15-minute interval. Rather, what it does is it constantly blows a little bit of air. Think of it as a computerized hair dryer that just blows the coals as they start to go out. So it extends the life, and again, number 2, it serves as a babysitter, so I don't have to keep watching it. This is a better view of what I've put in the direct heat area. I've applied some wood chips. These are mesquite wood chips that I've soaked overnight, so that's going to apply a nice taste to it. The other side has a catch pan with a little bit of water for the drippings. So we're going to cover that up. This I anticipate is going to be a 6 to 8 hour process. So we're going to cover that up, attach a couple of probes to maintain the temperature. I use a Taylor probe. One of the great things about a Taylor probe is it has a wireless feature, and it has a little buzzer so that if in fact I have a flame out, or if it goes out, or if it gets too hot or starts on fire, it will forewarn me with a buzz and a light. So every now and again I can take a break. For instance, about an hour in, I decided to watch a little playoff hockey and enjoy a beer. Throughout the process, though, I'm going to go ahead and spray this bad boy with some apple cider to keep it nice and moist on the outside. Just making sure that the pitmasterIQ is kind of doing its job. If it has the red light on, it means it's a little bit too hot. So I'm going to adjust the temperature. My Taylor kept going off, so I went down and adjusted the coals a wee bit. Here we are, just over 2 hours in, and just want to make sure that everything's a-okay with the grill. But I still want to watch the rest of the basketball game. And by the way, the Stanley Cup playoff hockey, it's the most exciting time of the year for hockey fans. Little view of the game room there, kind of mellow. Kids are playing outside. It's a lazy Sunday. So the Taylor says I need to be at an internal temperature of 160 degrees. Let's go ahead and fast forward this a couple hours later. That's what it's going to look like. I'm going to change the coals out because those have burnt out. The pitmasterIQ have successfully burned out those coals. over a period of over 2 hours with just 20 coals. I'm going to change those out. These ones, this next batch should take me to the 4 to 6 hour mark at 225 degrees. But let's go ahead and turn it up a notch. So instead of having a 10-hour cookout, we can reduce this to maybe a 7.5 to 8 hour cookout. You can check it out on pitmasterIQ.com. So here we are 4 hours in, or just over 4 hours. Basketball game is over, Spurs won, baseball game started. Time to enjoy maybe another brew while the thing's still going. Our temperature reading's still a lot lower than we want it to be. Pretty close to 6 hours here. It's time to make our barbecue sauce. I make a homemade barbecue sauce, which I'll heat up anytime between 1 and 2 hours before we're ready to serve. It's got apple cider vinegar, some brown sugar. To heat it up a little bit, I put some red pepper flakes in there and some Worcestershire sauce. The secret ingredient, which is not a secret anymore, is some Bloody Mary mix and a whole boatload of ketchup. So we're going to stir that up. You could actually heat that pot up over the grill, but there's not a lot of room there, so I'm going to use the stovetop right behind me. It's now time to foil this bad boy up. This method actually helps to maintain the juice. I'm going to turn it around so it's exposed to the other side of the meat. And again, we're just going to hopefully maintain a lot of that juiciness in there by foiling it up. I take a lot of different temperature probes to it just to make sure that we're at a healthy area. According to USDA, it's at 175, which is 15 degrees over the temperature, but I want this well done, so I'm going to put it on for another half hour with a little bit more mesquite wood chips to add to that smoky flavorness there. It's time to take this bad boy off, and wow, it's now 6:35 and I am starving. It's at 175 internal temperature. Time to pull this pork. Yep, this journey took 7 hours, 23 minutes. It's time to get the claws out and to carve that sucker. So as you can see, it just falls right off the bone super easily. It is definitely ready to be served at a healthy temperature level. As I carve it, you can't really tell, but there is a bone in the back. I went ahead and gave that bone to our dog Pablo, who absolutely devoured it. Time to plate this sucker up. I enjoy a wee bit of coleslaw, so hygienically I'll place my hand and grab some and then pour some of my homemade barbecue sauce over. It is now time to enjoy this bad boy. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you soon.